Hey everyone, welcome back to StealthFPV. So as you probably gathered from the intro, you can set your quad up now to flip back over when if you crash. So I mean, everybody's been there probably. You're either flying around doing freestyle or racing or whatever, and you crash and you end up upside down, and racing is the worst because like now you're out, right? Well, there's a way you can set your quad up so that it flies and operates like a normal quad without the stick having to be centered for 3D and everything else. And then when you flip it upside down, you can actually flip a switch, and then you will be in 3D mode. And I'm going to show you how to set that up. So normally, quad, when it's upside down, it's pushing air this way, which means that it's pushing down, right? Well, in 3D mode, you can reverse the props, and then you can actually fly and hover upside down. So this is going to be a tutorial on two things. It's going to be how to set up 3D mode and how to set it up on a mix switch so that you can fly your quad like normal. So there's a couple caveats that I need to do up front that I'd normally do at the end, but I really don't want anybody to take your props off before. I mean, that's standard, right? Anytime you plug a battery into your quad and a USB cable, you should have your props off. And the forums and everything, the GitHub page says that D-Shot supports 3D mode. I couldn't get it working, and when it didn't work, it was extremely dangerous. So I really don't recommend this with D-Shot. I'd recommend using this with multi-shot. So that's it. Take your props off. Do it with multi-shot, and you're gonna lose on your throttle if you do it with a mix. Modern radios nowadays, they have 2048, or some of them even have 4,000 steps of resolution. So you're gonna cut whatever your throttle resolution is in half. But you know, I really don't feel a difference from 2,000 steps to 1,000 steps on my throttle. So let's get into how to set it up. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is, see, no props on this quad. I'm going to remove the props from your quad. Very important. And then we're going to go into Betaflight, and we're going to connect in here. I'm going to go to configuration, and I'm running D-Shot on this, and I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to run multi-shot, because multi-shot is... I can show you here. Let's go into here. So it says that D-Shot's currently working with 3D, but I couldn't get it to work. So you know, maybe if you're running KISS ESCs, it'll work. But with BL Heli, I couldn't get it to work. So it's important that you do not try it with D-Shot, at least with the props on, because yeah, I made them. Well, I did not have the props on, but I definitely made the mistake of trying it with D-Shot after I read through the threads. Now that I'm going to save that guy, disconnect in here, and then I'm going to go into the BL Heli suite, and I can connect to it. So if you connect to BL Heli and you see that, you know, it's connected and it sees the ESCs, but it doesn't have these labeled here, like usually the fault is that you don't have a battery plugged in, which I'm going to plug in now. So I'll plug the battery in, and I can hit the check button, and hey, look at that, all the ESCs show up. So I can see that. So if I right click on one, now that you're going to set up a single ESC, this one's set up for normal. So what I want now is bidirectional. So I'll write that one. Okay, so that's for 1, and then I'll go into here and 2, and this one's reversed, so I'll go to bidirectional reversed. And then I'll do the same thing for 3. I'm just going to look at what it is. It's reversed, so it's bidirectional reverse. I'll write the setup. And 4 is normal, so that's going to be bidirectional. Write the setup. And then what I can do after that is I can go to ESC overview. Hey, look. And this is a nice tool to see, you know, if anything's different. Like it'll highlight here. So these are bidirectional reversed. So it's highlighted. Okay, so now we'll disconnect in here, and we can take our battery off for this part. And I'm going to connect in here, and under the configuration tab, we're going to set it up as 3D. So there's a couple of things on 3D that you need to know. So we have the 3D deadband low, the 3D deadband high, the 3D neutral, and then the deadband throttle. Okay, but what do all these boxes do? The 3D deadband low, well, let's go through them and set them. So I'm gonna go to the motors tab, and I'm going to, I understand, no, actually I'm just going to plug them in. Oh, nope, this is not going to work. Let's go to configuration. Yeah, I need to be 3D mode, and I need to save and reboot. There we go. I didn't save it last time, whoops. So if you notice I didn't get the tones, that's because it's not set to mid-throttle for it, and that's where the ESCs are expecting it to be. So now the default is like in the middle. So okay, I understand, and I'm going to plug it in, and now I'll get the second set of beeps, which means that they're connected. So now it's connected. So the deadband high, which we'll set first, see how they start to spin at 1497, and then they're spinning reliably at like 1510 for me. So that's going to be my deadband high. So that's the forward way. And then my deadband low, see how they start to spin at 1459, and then they start to reliably spin around 1445. So that's going to be my deadband low, and that's basically like your min command, is that now that you're running 3D. So I'm going to turn these guys off, and then the 1485, they're not spinning there, so I'm going to go back to configuration. So all right, now that I know what my deadband high and my deadband low is, so they reliably spin, and these aren't the defaults, I've already set these. So they reliably spin at 1445 for the reverse direction, and they reliably spin at, well, 1510 is what I got there, but it doesn't hurt to have a little extra, so 1513. And if they're stalling, so this is kind of replacing this minimum throttle, which we used to set, and all of this went away with D-Shot. But anyway, I couldn't get D-Shot to work on this. So, and then the 3D neutral, that's where it's going to, when you arm and disarm, when you're disarmed and you don't want the motors to spin, like that's what it's going to send as the PWM command for that. And then the deadband throttle, I think default is like 50. I have it set to 40, and that's basically how many steps you get on the throttle where it will arm or not arm. So if you can't get it to arm, that just means that your throttle's not exactly in the middle. So you can open that up a little bit so you know, if you can't get it to arm when your throttle's in the middle or at the bottom, you just open that number up a little bit. So alright, so now we've got the 3D is kind of set up. So that would be a normal 3D setup, and now we're going to set up a mix in the radio so that it flies like a normal quad. So normally when you have your 3D mode, this is the throttle. So you have your throttle, and like that would be where throttle would start for zero throttle. So you'd get from here up is where you get for your for positive thrust, and here down you get negative thrust, and that's how a 3D helicopter works. But with a 3D quad, you're reversing the props from here down, and you're normally spinning the props from here up. So what I've done on this radio is I've set up a mix on this switch. So when this switch is up, the throttle from here actually emulates the top half of the band here. So I'll show you how to set it up on this radio, which is going to be applicable to your radio, and I can show you how to set it up on a Spectrum. And then maybe somebody, whoever posts first in the comments on how if you want to show it on the Tyrannus, I'll link that in if somebody wants to show how to do it on a Tyrannus radio. Unfortunately, I'm not running OpenTX on this. I'm running the Horse stuff. So I'll probably show the Spectrum first, because that's going to be most applicable, and then I'll show how to set it up on the Horse radio. So let's do the Spectrum, and I'll link in to skip over to the Horse setup. So all right, so hopefully you guys can see me and this isn't too offensively loud. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here to the throttle curve, and we're going to set up. So this is the curve set up in here that I've set up for this switch. So you see it's on 0 right now, and I use this switch for my arm switch when I use this radio. So when it's armed, that's where I want it to be. That's the curve for the 3D, and I have 50, 62, 75, 88. Would really be 88.5 and 62.5 or 87.5, but it, you know, it's close enough. And whoa, and then on the other curves, whoops. So we're gonna go into curve 1, which is going to be the middle for that switch, and that's going to be the 3D mode for flipping it over. And we're going to set that so that will be on, yeah. So that's the middle, and then that's 3D now. So like in the middle here is where it'll arm, and then disarm doesn't really matter. So that's the throttle curve for disarm is that one. So that's it. I mean, that's basically, so on arm, and you have to expand your arm to include the middle position on the switch too. So wherever your arm mode is, you want it to be in the middle, also armed in the middle. So, and then you flip it like this, and then a way to check to see if it's working is we're gonna go to the main screen, and then you scroll over one. This is my throttle when I am armed. So you see my throttle is only the top half right here. I'm only going across the top half on the throttle. And then when I go to the mid position, now I have full throttle. So, you know, when I need to flip it over, I'll just flip it into arm in the middle, and then I can throttle down and flip back over. So that's it for how to set it up on the throttle curve for Spectrum. And now let's do the same thing for FrSky. Alright, so I'm showing you this on the Horse, but the menus are pretty much the same for the FrSky. So I'm going to go into, or for OpenTX, so I'm going to go into my model, and I'm going to go into the output map. No, I'm going to go into the throttle curve. So, and then, whoops, okay, screen keeps turning off. Okay, so I'm going to go into my throttle curves here, and this one is not set up. Okay, so you get to see me set it up. So it's set up on switch A. So what I'm going to do is set it to the weight. We change to 50, and we change the offset to 50, and there you go. So that's how we set it up on that switch. And now when switch A is in the up position, like it's gonna be that curve, and any other position for switch A, like it's gonna be the standard curve, which is going to be under C1. So that's how you set it up on your FrSky system. It's going to be a weight and an offset on the Tyrannus as well. I just don't have a Tyrannus to show you, unfortunately. So hopefully you guys found this informative, and you guys get to use it on your own models. And, you know, thanks for watching, and thanks to Project Blue Falcon for giving me the shout out. I really appreciate that. So if you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, go for it. You don't land it upside down. Are you ready to flip your quad back over when it gets upside down? Then stay tuned. I'm ready. Oh boy. Hey everyone.